Go ahead. Yeah, we need to get them fixed because only 2 of them work out of 3 of them are down. All right, at this time we'll call our April 26, 2022 work session to order. Jamie, if you could please read the sunshine statement and call roll.
Be advised that proper notice has been given by the Township Council in accordance with the Sunshine Law in the following manner. Notice advertised in the Burlington County Times and Camden Carrier Post on March 1st, 2022, and posted on the bulletin board on the same date. Mr. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Jenny?
Here.
Ms. Correo?
Here.
Mr. Lyons?
Here.
Mr. Burrell?
Here. Thank you, Jamie. We have first up our ordinances on second reading for final adoption. There's only one on second reading. It's Ordinance 2022-03, an ordinance of the municipality of Delran Township, County of Burlington, and State of New Jersey, authorizing and accepting of the offer of the purchase of 2 temporary use rights of parcels on the tax map of the Township of Delran, Burlington County, State of New Jersey, Department of Transportation as described therein. This requires a public hearing, so I'll ask for a motion to open the floor.
Motion to go public.
A second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Our floor is now open for public comment on Ordinance 2022-03, and that ordinance only. Is there anyone here who has any comment on that? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the floor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is closed. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved. Tom Lyons. Second.
Jamie, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The ordinance is adopted. Next up, we have our ordinances on first reading. This is a lot of word vomit, so stay with us. First up is Ordinance 2022-04. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking, Department of Construction of Township Bikeway, appropriations sum of $1.4 million, therefore authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bonds, anticipation notes of the Township, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $190,000, and make certain determinations and covenants and authorize certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion.
Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye.
Just one quick comment, if I may.
Yes, Joe, please.
For this ordinance and the next 3, all they pretty much do are implement the capital program which you reviewed during the time of the budget. That's what this does. The sewer will be addressed at a later date.
Great, thank you, Joe. And I think a couple things. 2 of these, I believe, are funded by grants.
There's 3 major
right.
grants here.
So I know these numbers sound shocking when you add them all up, but they're all not coming out of our bottom line. So next up is Ordinance 2022-05. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various capital improvements and the acquisition of capital equipment for the Township of Delran, appropriation of a little over $1.2 million, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds and bonds anticipation notes to the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1.9 million, 1.19, making certain determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. I'll entertain a motion in a second.
Motion. I'll second.
Jamie?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next up is Ordinance 2022-06, a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various roadway improvements in the Township of Delran, appropriating the sum of $1.4 million, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes for the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $945,250, making determinations and covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. Motion in a second.
So moved. Tom Lyons. Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correo?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrell?
Aye. The ayes have it. The ordinance is introduced. Next up is ordinance 2022-07. This is a bond ordinance authorizing the undertaking of various roadway improvements as part of the Streets to Transportation Program in the Township of Delran, appropriating the sum of $665,000. Therefore, authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds or bond anticipation notes in the Township of Delran, County of Burlington, New Jersey, in the aggregate principal amount not to exceed $85,500, and making determinations of covenants and authorizing certain related actions in connection with the foregoing. Entertain a motion.
Second.
Jamie, call the roll.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa? Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye, the ayes have it, and the ordinance is introduced. Now to our resolutions. Resolution 2022-73. This is authorizing the acceptance the township between the township and the Department of Transportation. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye, the ayes have it, the resolution carries. Next up is Resolution 2022-74, authorizing the award of contract for the Delran Community Park Phase 6 parking improvements. Get a motion in a second.
Motion. I'll second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye, the ayes have it, and the resolution carries. Next up, we're actually going to walk on Resolution 2022-75. This is authorizing the township to enter into a settlement agreement. It's a settlement agreement with Deneen Rico. This was originally listed as an executive session, but there's no need to go into executive, so we'll just approve the resolution, please. So I'll ask for a motion in a second.
So moved. Tom Lane. Second.
Jamie, could you call the roll, please?
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye. The ayes have it, the resolution carries. Thank you guys for your patience with that amendment there. Next up, we have our motions. I'll ask for a motion authorizing the payment of bills, including all purchases made under the cooperative purchasing agreement.
So moved.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye. Next up, we have a motion granting mercantile license to the businesses listed therein in our agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Tom Lane. I'll second.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Jenny?
Aye.
Ms. Correa?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Aye.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye, the ayes have it. Motion carries. That includes our action portion of the agenda. We're now at our work session, so we've got a couple items to discuss this evening, a couple presentations. So first up, we have our cable franchise renewal presentation. We have a representative from Comcast here, so please come on up and introduce yourself, and looking forward to chatting.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't mind, just so we can record for the record. Yeah. Yeah, I think if you hold for too long, it'll turn off.
Yes. So, you can hear me now? Sure. That's a Verizon commercial. I shouldn't say that. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you, and professional staff. Thank you for having me out tonight. My name is Fred DeAndrea. I'm the Senior Director of Government Affairs for Comcast New Jersey. As the Council President had said, I'm here tonight related to our franchise agreement. This is our license to provide service throughout the township. That license is issued by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, but it requires the municipal consent of the township. Comcast and the township reached a consent ordinance agreement back in, I believe the ordinance was 2008, -13 ordinance. It's probably negotiated from 2006, 2007, eventually finalized in 08. The duration of that contract was 15 years. It's probably backdated to 2007 when the previous agreement had expired. It called for an initial term of 15 years, which is now expiring. It expired already this month, April 11th. There was a provision for an automatic renewal of 10 years. Comcast has provided notice to the township of our intent to file that automatic renewal, and we will be filing a petition with the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities for that additional 10 years. So all that said, There's no action required by the township tonight, no action at all, in fact. But I am happy to answer any questions that you may have about this process. I'll tell you that it was pretty standard for during the 2000s, early 2010s, to have a contract of this length. Today, most of our agreements are probably around 10 years. With the industry changing so much and regulations changing, I think more towns have a comfort level with 10 years. So that's right where you're at. Of course, you can always petition the Board of Public Utilities with any questions, concerns, or come to me. Happy to work with you on anything you're hearing. I imagine broadband is probably the most vital service we provide to the township these days. I'm happy to report that we've increased our speeds dramatically since the time this franchise was introduced and adopted in 2008. We have gigabit service throughout the state, so there's no redlining or winners or losers. We deploy this as soon as we can to these speeds. We're continuing to increase speeds, so we have, that's our max tier right now, gigabit service. It's actually 1.2 gigabits. That's the download speeds. The upload speeds will continue to increase. We announced in March, actually, new speed tiers, and they usually they're increased with no cost, no additional cost for our consumers. So I know customers like to see those. I'd like to just mention, if I have a minute, a few steps that we had taken during the pandemic just to keep our customers connected. Our low-income service for the income, or I should say our low-cost service for the income constrained, is called Internet Essentials. So we launched that in 2010. Initially, the eligibility was mirrored after the National School Lunch Program. It's since been expanded, so virtually any type of social services program you could think of would qualify you for this service, and that rate has stayed locked in at $9.95 since we launched that in 2011. So at the start of the pandemic, we increased the speeds. Now we've had a series of increases throughout the lifespan of that product, but we increased them to 50 megabits per second downstream. We also recently boosted those upload speeds to 10 megabits per second. So that's more than enough to do video conferencing, even with multiple folks home in the case of the lockdown scenario. We made sure no one was disconnected from our service, and we also had programs in place to make sure we could right-size budgets or change service package levels so people weren't accruing debt if they weren't able to pay, right? Because we didn't, bills were still being issued. However, we wouldn't shut you off. In some cases, people could take another look at their service level and say, okay, I don't need that much. Let's downgrade to this. And this way we're not going to, when we come out of this, we're not going to have thousands of dollars that we can't pay. We also opened up all our Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots to the public. So we have these throughout our service territory. They're in outdoor public places, businesses. You'll see them if you download our app. We also have online through Xfinity.com. You can see by zip code where we have these locations. So people could go and use these spaces. We probably have them all up and down the 130 corridor, anywhere we have businesses, probably in a few parks also. So they were made available to folks who didn't have service in the home. You could log on to those. A lot of times they're helpful in emergent situations, whether it's weather or some other law enforcement event. We can open those up. We've done it in cases of severe weather in New Jersey, Sandy, some of these straight line storms that have swept through South Jersey. And we can open them up to everyone, so you don't have to be a customer. We recently just ended that, I believe, 2 months ago. So throughout the whole pandemic, those Wi-Fi hotspots have been open to all customers. We also launched a program called RISE for small businesses. This was based on research that showed Black, Indigenous, and people of color were more adversely impacted by the pandemic in those small businesses than others. And it combined two segments of our company, Effective, which is our advertising wing, and Comcast Business. And they were able to go in, and it's kind of like rolling emissions. You can constantly apply since this launched. And we have a series of in-kind services we can provide, from courtesy internet service to makeovers for production value. We could give you free airtime, technology makeovers. So it's all the benefits that these organizations have. They're offered to these small businesses. And we've made small businesses and chambers aware of this program since we launched it last year, and that will continue throughout this year and probably into the future. But that was something just to help the business community. And then again, with a lot of work on the network, just the network augmentations to make sure that we're staying ahead of the curve and no one's having any service interruptions or those types of issues. So I'll stop there and pause in case there are any questions, but I know you have a lot of other business to get through this evening also.
I appreciate you coming out. I did have one question before we open up the council. You beat me to the punch, but about your low-income program. Can you provide us with some of that information? I think we would want to be able to get that, or how do you get that out to those folks that are affected? Because there's definitely children, families, in our reduced school lunches at school, and senior citizens who may be impacted, by income constraints that I think would benefit from that program.
Yeah, absolutely. I can provide information to the township, and typically how we've worked. I mean, we do use what you would think about in any type of campaign, so standard media, over the air, online, digital ads. But probably the best partnerships we have had with school districts and nonprofits who have gotten the information out to the communities that they serve. So I know we've gotten it out to Delran and neighboring communities. I failed to mention one. So in the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, there was I think it's 50. I'll get you the number. It's a big number. I don't want to misspeak, but it provides for a subsidy, and it's based against the guidelines or the federal poverty guidelines, right? So depending on how many folks you have in your household, it's 200% of those guidelines. So that there's probably a fair amount of people in the township that would be eligible for this subsidy. It's up to $30 a month, and as long as the FCC has vetted and approved providers, which Comcast is one, but all the major wireless carriers are also approved. Residents that are eligible can get $30 off their service a month. So we have several programs that more than covers our Internet Essential product at $9.95. We have it's called Internet Essentials Plus that increases the speeds. I think we even have something where you can combine Xfinity Mobile, get an unlimited calling and data plan with the Internet Essentials fixed wire internet for it's really no cost. They keep it under $30, so that subsidy covers it. We anticipate that will be in place for at least the next few years. There's a lot of funding out of that IIJA Act. So that I can send information to the township as well.
I think we can, through our connections, get it to the school again. Maybe
Sure.
we put it on our website. Just want to make
Yep.
sure.
And again, that's like provider agnostic. You could just whoever your residents use for their service, whether it be wireless or a fixed wire provider.
Great. Is there any questions?
No, I was just going to ask the first part, so
Yes.
I could, if you have one with you, just leave it with me. And
Sure. I'll leave it
follow
with
up with you.
We've been talking about communications and how do we reach out to our residents more. And we were, obviously cable is one way to do that. And I noticed into your certificate of renewal, number 11 says, the petitioner shall provide educational governmental access to services. Do we have access to where we can post, not post, but put things on to Comcast and have our community information out there?
Yes, there are opportunities that the township can take advantage of. I believe their Channel 28 serves all of the communities in the system. If it's not 28, there's another channel that you can take advantage of and post messages. And we can talk about, in the future, if you thought the township might like to have its own dedicated channel, that could be possible as well.
And how do we go about that? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right now, we're talking about it earlier.
Oh, okay.
We've already connected with them.
Oh, okay.
In hopes of doing
Good.
that. There's a community that doesn't have social media, maybe doesn't have a website, doesn't have smartphones, and we've already talked to the department, but residents have to make sure that they'll be there.
Right, so we can, we started that dialogue, and I'll do the research to see which channel is assigned to your community, but you should have, you create the content, and you'll have the channel capacity to place that content and air it to your residents. You're welcome. Yes. Yeah, so I think the Treasury Department issued some rules for that rental relief program. And it was primarily focused on, so the program I'm thinking of was for renters who are behind in rent, but it covered their utilities also. And broadband was an acceptable bill that funding could be used for. I've had some talks with Camden County about it, just going back and forth about the logistics. They have a third-party provider that manages those applications, but I understand there have been, in that county, some applicants who are seeking relief through that. So we'll probably reach some type of agreement as to how. It's a little more complicated for our industry because of some privacy concerns, and I don't know that some of the other utilities have the same issues that we have in sharing subscriber information to authenticate. We can't do that, but there are ways that I think that this third-party provider for the county can make payments directly to us on behalf of renters who they screen and approve. So if that's I can reach out to the Burlington County, department that works with that to see if they have that program up and running. I don't know if you're aware whether they have that available right now. I'm sure they have funding.
So we have a microphone issue constantly, so I'm just going to ask everyone again to use your outdoor voice, because these mics are the only ones that are picking up, and you're amplified, but it's still,
It's not coming through.
Not loud enough, sorry.
it's got to be loud enough for these mics.
That was wired in there.
I don't know what it is, but I don't think these should be there.
Yeah, you're good. Just keep going.
But yeah, I'll follow up on that. It's the ERA program, and that was administered by the Treasury Department to provide relief for renters who got behind in their utility bills.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions from Councilman? I think that's it. We appreciate you coming out, and I guess congratulations on your renewal.
Right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for having me, and I'll follow up on those items that we discussed tonight.
Yeah, we appreciate
Thank you.
that. Thanks for coming out.
I will, thank you.
All right, great, thank you. So next up, we have another presentation. This is from our Darwin Historical Society, who's out here in full force.
Want to do a five-part harmony?
Yeah.
It might need to be turned back on.
I've got everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Most of you know me, but for the record, I'm Mal Anderson. I'm the president of the Delran Historical Society, and I, along with the other members of our board of directors, are here tonight to expand and enhance the collaborative agreement that we spoke about with Council Member Tom Lyons and Council President Tyler Burrell. So let me first introduce our members on the board. We have one missing tonight, but our Vice President is P.J. Buzzy, and our Secretary, Recording Secretary, Renee Brizzi, down the end, and my wife Nancy's our Treasurer. And we have two trustees here tonight, Kim Custer and Charlie Silvestri. And we have one other that couldn't make it. Anyway, I think that we have a good relationship with the township, at least, and we're a relatively new historical society compared to ones in other towns around. However, we're very accomplished. We've done a lot of work. I applaud our members for the work that they've done. We've gotten 4 in a row awards from Burlington County on projects that we've developed and completed. So just a little background, we did start in 2009, and we've been working towards getting some place that we can call home. It's really hard. In the beginning years, we had a lot of time that needed to be spent to officially get our feet on the ground, meaning we had to get our incorporation papers, we had to go to the IRS and also the state and get our nonprofit status, and we got our 501c3 designation. And we're doing everything that we think is right. Sometimes we falter a little bit, but not majorly anyway. So you can be assured that our relationship and our the way we go about things are very upfront and very deliberate, I guess I should say. So, if I may, I'd like to call on our trustee Kim Custer to explain some things in this presentation that we've offered. So, Kim.
Thank you. Just real briefly, we're just the purpose of doing a lobby display. We want to educate the public about local, regional, and national history, preserve Darwin's history for future generations, and encourage community partnerships, enhance an underutilized space, promote historic preservation, and share the Darwin Historical Society's collection. We want to make it changeable displays, host student tours, and host public events. And then a purpose for a research and storage room would be provide a workable space for volunteers, provide a space to digitize and do our file collection, secure storage for our collection, and provide student workspace. So we're looking at the lobby as being a very interactive space, something really different and exciting, and we're looking forward to working with you to make that happen. So thank you very much. And here is Renee with all the details. Hi. Okay. So on page 2 is an image of what our lobby currently looks like. It's unengaging. I don't think it's really, the space is being used to its best potential. It's not educational. It's not really informing our public. The second image on page 3 is a vision that we have. So obviously right off the bat, it's more engaging, it shows town pride, it's storytelling, and it's educational. The idea is to have some images, some older images up top from around town, some historical images, highlight some of the people. The display cases could be house a lot of our artifacts and things like that. They can be changed periodically. The banners in the center can also tell additional stories. We have a lot to say about our town. It's really basically going to allow us to bring awareness of Delran's rich history to the many residents who pass through these doors. They come here every day. They probably don't even notice that wall. So now it's an opportunity to let them come in and have some pride. Like Kim said, it could be an opportunity to create a learning environment for our schools. A big thing, Delran is growing. Every time you turn around, there's a new development. So we have more people coming through these doors. So this is prime location, prime real estate to display our rich history and just show our town pride. So then the next couple pictures on page 4, you may be wondering, well, what's going to happen to that large flag that's out there? So what better place to display it but right behind there? Right now that looks pretty boring. You have people here all the time. It's being videotaped all the time. We have visitors from other towns coming here. What way? It's a simple way to just show our town pride right here in this room. We measured it, it would fit. And see, there's even a light shining right on it. So it's like, and then on page 5, the lobby area, you know, it hasn't been updated in I don't know how long. It's probably due for a nice update. But it has potential, and not just that wall. So this is just an example of, you know, some ideas that we have. You know, as soon as you walk into our lobby, you see the doors, and just that space right above the doors is a great place to have some graphics, to show some additional older images of the town, you know, highlight when we were established. So that's just another example of that, of what we could do with our lobby. And now I will turn it over to Charlie Silvestri, who will continue on.
Hi, I'm Charlie Silvestri. I am more often than not the idea man and or design guy. So I'm talking about numbers, obviously, tonight. It's not obvious. Anyhow, you may be wondering, about the cost. I don't know if you want me to go directly into the cost. I don't know if you have any questions to begin with before we get there, because I'll probably be better at answering that than the numbers. But what we really need to show off our collection has a lot of artifacts, three-dimensional artifacts, and also a lot of ephemera. We need several cases to show off what we have in our collection. We've collected this collection, over the past 13 years or so. And the collection is now big and unwieldy, and it resides in somebody's attic, the worst place it could possibly be. What we need is not just lobby space, not just the wall. We need a place to store. So it's sort of built in to our proposal here. We need glass display cabinets. We did the measurements for you guys. You can always check our work. I definitely am not a numbers guy, but we need 3 cabinets. They're 48 inches wide, 72 inches high, and 20 inches deep. Not that big of a footprint, but enough of a space to display a lot of the three-dimensional objects we've collected over the years. Also, within that space, within those cabinets, we can also display some of the ephemera, the paperwork, pictures, what have you. Cost-wise, just so everybody is aware of what the cost is, we've run the numbers ourselves. You can follow up after us, I'm sure you will. Roughly $58.60 for 3 cabinets to display some of the collection. Black and white photo, poster, and hardware for the black and white posters. We have some amazing photographs of Delran through the history of the town, and probably before the town, starting in Bridgeboro. Blown up, we're imagining these blown up above the cabinetry on that wall. And as you can see from the pictures, actually I have an extra copy of this little thing that you could see if you'd like afterwards. There are, anyhow, the posters and the pictures and the hardware roughly run about what we figured to be $600. That's all together. Banners and design work. We're figuring 22-inch by 32-inch banners, and they are changeable once, twice, or seasonally throughout the year to showcase something about the township, the history of the township, what goes on in the township, and what has gone on in the history of the township. There's a lot of, I can speak from my own experience. My family had 4 farms in Delran. There's a lot of farm history in Delran. I know everybody's probably aware of that. I'm not talking about Millside. I'm talking about little mom and pop farms that have been, long forgotten, but I remember them as a kid. For example, that would be on the posters and the banners, rather. What we need, as far as a workspace, we were hoping for a research room work table. Right now, we do all the digitizing of a lot of the ephemera and the pictures in the said attic. We could really use a place to work here in the building, and it would be great if we had a nice workspace and especially a table to spread out. It's not a big table. It's 52 by 24. Adjustable height, it can be moved, it's on casters. We're figuring that to be $260. Now, it was mentioned earlier, the courtroom entrance photo banner, what we were talking about over top of these doors here, to welcome people in. Everybody comes into the building Everybody who comes into the building are here to pay their taxes or to pay their storage bill or whatnot. And you have a huge space outside that is being underutilized. We're hoping to help you, help us show the people of Delran what the town is and was about and what it can be about. There are pictures of some ideas in there. Just some odd thoughts that we had going off, some of the ideas to welcome people into the building. I think a welcome into the building would be great rather than just having a blank space. I don't know what you guys think, but I personally would like to see something other than a blank wall, the wall of doom because you got to go pay your storage bill. We've also worked in, we know we're living in a weird time because gas prices, et cetera, are going up sky high and other prices are going up sky high. So we've built in a stretch factor of 10% into our guesstimate for what this would cost. That's under miscellaneous possible price increases. So hopefully that stretch factor would cover additional costs shipping-wise and material-wise, but probably mostly shipping-wise. So you're looking at a total of currently $8,849.50. I don't even know how we got the 50 cents. But I wanted to make sure I laid that all out for you. What we don't know is what the purchasing process is. We know history, and we know collecting history, and we know preserving history. A background from me. For 33 years, I worked in architectural restoration. I know the importance of maintaining and preserving history. I've done it. I've done it for 33 years. It's an important thing. History can be lost like that with just the wrong decision. So I think we need to know how the right way to go about getting everything that we need that we listed is done. We also would like, possibly from you, a timeline as to when it is possible for us to begin even thinking about changing the lobby or the lobby wall that we're talking about, which is that wall over there where the table is and the flag now resides. And possibly if you have an endpoint in mind. I think once we have our space to work, we'll be able to be better equipped to give you an answer and say, yeah, we could do that. Right now, I'm pretty...
Yeah, well, let me save your breath on that, because I think everyone here is well impressed, and excuse me, I don't want to be rude and take your...
You're so rude, man.
I've been told. But I mean, I can speak for myself, and I spoke to council before we came in. I think everyone has the intention that they want to see this happen, right? I'm not,
Well, we appreciate that.
The mayor wants to see this. I think everyone here does. And you came under budget, which always is a good thing. That makes a lot of people happy.
I don't know, teachers make more than that 10%.
But, yeah.
Well, we were worried about building in the stretch factor, but I wasn't sure like what to do about that.
The good thing is, I think, I don't know where your suppliers came from. We don't have to get into this meeting, but we have contracts through state contracts that are a lot cheaper than what the public can get, and there's also used,
We were looking for guidance from you.
Plenty of things about that. So I think, unless you guys want to keep going or any questions you have for us, but I think, council have any questions, but I think I think everyone thinks it's a good idea, and ultimately, I don't want to speak for the administration, but you would work with the administration team. This is the best part of our job, is we hand it all off to those guys. And, they be the ones that help facilitate the purchasing, can sit down with you, right, Joe and Gary, and figure out the timeline-wise.
We just wanted to make it coherent for you.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I mean, our meetings are like herding cats. So when we came in here, we wanted to make sure it was straightforward. And that's exactly what we were trying to do tonight, just make it clear and straightforward. Yeah. But it's all about preserving the history of the town, from going back to the beginning, going forward. So thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the
Council President?
Yeah, Lynn?
The only, and I'm all for it, I think it's great, in fact, this group could probably use some benefit. However, I think there are competing, interests in the lobby. I know the Green Team, I just spoke with Deb Hammond, they have a 6-foot by 4-foot tree that is cut out of wood, that they're gonna hang their plaques that the high school made on when people donate a tree to the township, and they were hoping to have space in the lobby as well.
We're easygoing guys.
No, all I'm saying is that we should probably give us some forethought to that
Yeah.
space so that everybody can benefit from it.
Yeah, absolutely. I know they have this corner here, and I think my understanding, they was gonna expand left of that towards.
Well, they
Amy's.
weren't sure, but they wanted us
Yeah.
to consider it because, it's our buildings.
So, maybe we can get us, you guys and the Green Team and a couple of us together in a room with Gary and Joe, and maybe figure out some of that. But I think we all agree, the gray paint could use a little.
That was another, that was one last thing that we were wondering about before we started on the wall, and then I'll leave, I promise. I talk a lot, sorry. I used to work in radio too. We were wondering if there could be, the wall could be painted before we actually started putting up things against the wall. I mean, I know that's not a really big thing, but there may be hurdles that you have to do through channels, so I wanted to bring it up, that's all.
So the Historical Society doesn't like the old ink?
The Historical Society rolls with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All of those details would be discussed here, but, with the administration, we can work on all of that. But Gary, you had,
It's just
comment.
the courtroom's bigger than the banner.
So what's your suggestion about how we should go about it?
We're gonna reach out to Gary.
Okay.
Right? Ultimately, we haven't passed
The budget's
the
got
budget
it.
hasn't been passed yet.
I understand.
It's been introduced. So once that happens, then the money is there,
Mm.
right? And then from there, they'll work on the purchase process.
Well, Sid, I think the thing to do, if I may, Mr. President, is just, I'll get Brian in the room and I have your number at my office. I'll reach out, we'll have a meeting and we'll put a work plan together. Okay?
That would be good.
And you're aware, I don't know if the group is aware, I spoke with Joe, the Public Works, and Joe found space that you guys will eventually use for some storage. There's some other space we're working on, that old building they're gonna use to put some of the REC stuff in, so things are getting moved around, for your stuff. So, we're trying, I think we're all in agreement here, we wanna help you guys succeed, you guys help the township succeed, so it's a win-win for everybody. So any way we can help, that's why we're here.
As a reminder about that storage, we have to have something that's secure because
you'd be the only one
we
who'd be in that
we don't want any pilfering of
Yeah, I think
things
there's one
going
key-
on
There's a couple keys to it, so.
because it's going to, it's going to hurt the township too. So,
Yeah.
and I appreciate your time, as do all of us. We appreciate you listening, and I think we're both here for the same reason, to make Delran a better place. And God bless you all. I wouldn't want your job, but
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks for putting it all together and doing the homework and making it easy for us. So you guys will be in touch.
we're all volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate the work. The communities rely on volunteers like yourself. Thank you.
Not my first year.
Okay, yeah, we'll get it. Luckily, it's on the capital plan. All right, next up, thank you guys, appreciate it. You don't have to stay around unless you want to. Next up is our 2022 sewer bill claims. In the essence of time, I think all of these were recommended. They all made recommendations for these. So without going into detail on all of these, I'll defer to council, but my recommendation, thank you, is we just follow the recommendations that were listed in here. I think all of them were recommended making adjustments, correct, Amy? First one, there was an adjustment recommended.
Yeah, I think there were two maybe on here that there wasn't really any reason for, and they had slight increases.
All right, well, then we'll go one by one. I
If
thought
you
they all
want-
were.
Yeah, if you want to go.
All right, so number one, that one, I would recommend charging the average. So are we okay to charge the average on that? The 10? All right.
The old guy.
Yeah, Tom, come on, Tom. Tom's logging into the Comcast
Yeah, I have
channel.
that slow internet in my brain. Go ahead, I'm there.
No,
You online?
I'm online.
You doing dial-up?
Tom's
You've got the
not
upgrade
on Facebook or social media. He gets his news the old way, so
I do.
he could benefit by the public access.
Has anybody checked these things to make sure they're accurate? Or?
Yeah, so this is all done through the tax collection office, and they
Okay,
make
so it's-
recommendations to us. And actually, we try to stay out of it as much as possible, and that they do all the background
So they
for
do
us.
due diligence?
Yes, they do the due diligence and strip away information about people's names and addresses, and we just see these numbers that mean nothing to us, which is the good way. So the first one, they make the recommendation of charging the average amount, which we always follow the recommendation. So is everyone okay with that for number one?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, number two, this is also recommending so is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
This is a 5-1.
Bill,
Number three, there's also a recommending of going to 20,000 gallons. Are we okay with that? Okay.
Yeah.
Next, we have number four. This is also recommending 18.
Yeah, and with number four, there will probably be a claim next year too, because if you look at that future
Yes,
building,
yes.
it's also significantly higher. But for now, we're recommending the 18, that would be the average.
Next one is 5. Also recommends going to the average of 10. You okay with that? Some of them shake their heads. Last is number 6.
Yeah.
This is the one that's somewhat questionable.
Yeah, so on number 6, this was sold in 2020, so there's not a lot of information for this new owner. There doesn't really seem to be. They said that there was a leak repaired in July of 2021, but the water remains consistent. For this billing, it's 16. For next year, it will be 14. So if you did want to make any adjustment, it would be from 16 to 15, which isn't a huge reduction, but if you wanted to make the reduction, it would.
I mean, there was a shut off and there was a repair, right?
Yeah, there was a repair in July, but it didn't really change the water consumption numbers.
This is just because we don't have enough data, really.
It could be.
So our folks are recommending the 15, not.
If we wanted to. This one, they're
Yes.
hedging.
Yeah, so this, because it's really from 16 to 15, it's not really a huge reduction. It's $5 per quarter if you made the adjustment. But there's not a lot of back data that we can go to see what their usage was. We usually try to do it based on the last 3 years and we average it. And
Yeah.
that's the recommendation we give. We don't have that with this one.
There's no new one.
So,
Yeah, I say, since we're following the recommendations, we go for 15.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a marginal amount, but I think,
For $40 for 2 years.
yeah, but I mean, we just don't have the data, so we don't want to.
It's not.
Adversely-
it's 20, it would be $20, really, $5 per quarter
Right.
for
Okay.
2022.
But I mean, they're sort of losing the benefit of the previous data, right? It's adversely impacted by that. So I think,
Well, yeah, but even if you look even after the fix, it's still 14 for next year, and that's based on January, February, March of this year. So the consumption is consistent. Even though there was a repair, there's not, I just wanted to point out that it's not really, we're not really seeing after the repairs were made
Yeah.
any change in the water
Just
usage.
let them know if it stays that way, you won't have $20 for it.
But
So
we'll go
we're
ahead
good-
and
we're good with
reduce
the
it to
recommendation.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's it.
If I could just interrupt, it's one of those things, yeah, thank you, we're having microphone issues. So it's one of those things that, I did not submit an adjustment, but we had a small drip, where my father-in-law was, and it's been ongoing, but it's been just a little bit of a drip. And my numbers went way up for the last 2 years, didn't even notice it, but I'm not submitting for an adjustment, I'm just going on the record saying that. It was not in any of these billings, but it's, so if you have a small leak, a small drip, a toilet flap, it adds up fast, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the recommendations, there wasn't even any reasoning for these high water, and,
but you can just see.
but,
I mean,
yeah,
it's-
they didn't know that there was any problem, but they, you can clearly see the reduction. So that's that's why the recommendations are what they are.
Well, we appreciate the work you guys do, so you'll go through and put that on.
Yeah, there will be a resolution on the public meeting just to confirm all of these adjustments.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, next up, we have a request for yield signs.
Request for stop signs, actually.
Stop signs,
Yes.
yes, we're getting rid of the yield signs.
Yeah, and
Joe, you want to give a little background?
yeah, very brief.
Joe, can you just, we gotta
Oh, I'm
play,
sorry.
play games with this.
Okay, I'll get a little closer. I'll get a little closer.
Or, yeah, we can get them.
I'll sit on your lap.
Yeah, we're gonna-
So,
By the way, once that budget's passed, we gotta get an RFP out and get this, fixed as soon as possible.
okay. So, talking to the police chief one day, he thought that a more uniform and safer vehicular movement in the neighborhood would be to establish some stop signs or yield signs currently exist. So we reached out to our engineer, Jim Winkowski, and according to the manual on uniform traffic control, they do suggest, with the data that's been provided to the engineer from the PD, that stop signs are indeed warranted. In order to make it happen, with your consent, we'd have to adopt an ordinance to make these changes at these 7 intersections. And of course, attached is the cost to purchase the signs and what have you. So it's pretty much, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. I know Virginia has raised some questions about it before in the past. And I think it's a no-brainer, so.
And I think there was a traffic accident, I want to say early March, that really precipitated to accelerate this. So.
I mean, my understanding was there was some other influences involved.
Oh,
in
there
that
were,
accident.
yeah, like under the influence.
Yes, under the influence, so,
Yeah.
but, you know, it definitely is going to be a safety improvement over there, for sure. I go over there and I'm confused which streets have stop signs and which not, so you end up stopping anyway. So it makes a lot of sense, so all we would need to do is draft an ordinance, Mark, to be able to facilitate that, and coordinate with the administration to get that done.
Sure.
Any questions for council?
You want this for, quick?
Preferably for the next meeting, yes.
Okay.
2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks, yep.
All right. Next up, finally, we have our discussion about the memorial tree ordinance. This is really quick discussion. I believe we've talked about this before when we were drafting the tree ordinance that got us Tree City. One of the things that they were in planning part about was, you know, can we raise money for memorial trees? For example, someone wants to memorialize the death in the family, or maybe some exciting moment in the purchase of a tree. They could pay us, donate to the township $350 for that tree. The green team uses that money, buys a tree, and plants that somewhere in the community. So it benefits the community. It also has some value for that person making the donation. So in order to do that,
I believe for $100, you can donate, and they're gonna have that placard with your donation on the tree, but they're not gonna plant the tree.
yes, there's a
350.
couple tiers, right?
Right.
But ultimately, this ends up helping the community, and we get more trees out there, you know, recognized, for sure. So in order to do that, I'm told, the legals here, we need to put that fee amount in the ordinance, so if council's okay.
I thought we were discussing, and I may be premature on this one, that's the dedicated,
Well, we need a dedication by rider.
right, I thought there was gonna be 2 elements to that, am I getting ahead of myself?
Yeah, one element is
Developer side,
there's the tree ordinance, but if you take down a certain amount of them,
Right.
that's that. This is just a
straight
memorial
up,
fund,
you're
yeah.
correct, got
Yeah,
it,
okay.
yes.
And I think Joe told me that you were looking at 2 dedications by riders to do
Well,
that.
certainly the one for the memorial, we have all the background information on how to do it, but once the fee ordinance is done,
Okay,
or once this amendment's done, we'll take care of that.
okay, great. So that's something we can
Yes.
draft. Are we okay to do that, council? It should be 2
Yes.
lines in the fee ordinance, right?
Something like that,
Sure.
Short and sweet, yes.
Yep, great, okay. You know, the green team will appreciate that. And they were out, Virginia and Lynn were there, what, yesterday, Monday? And you guys planted a tree, so it's great. I know Al was out this weekend. 2 trees. And he was out this weekend. I saw Al back here on the It's good.
Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, he's great. He's the unsung hero. So with that,
So, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to take notes. The ordinance has the fee in it, or?
It does not.
Yeah.
It does not. We can go over, tomorrow or Friday, whenever.
Yep.
okay. So next up, we have our reports. So Gary, you said everyone should hold the mic.
I think we
reports.
should pass the mic around, so he's gonna be first.
First up is our interim township solicitor, Joe Bellina. You got a little Frank Sinatra or something.
I'll be brief, but the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association, they have an email chain that they send out with different topics. And last week, there was one on trash collection. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because of the woes we went through. So Denville, their bid went up their contract went up 39% for collection. Edgewater, 72.5%. Milburn, 63%. I know these are all North Jersey towns, but and 8 of the 9 Morris County towns who bid for a new contract in the last 2 years only received 1 bid. So it's statewide, not just here in the south, but up in the north too. So that's it. I just wanted to call that out.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Next up, we have a report from our clerk, Jamie. Anything?
No, I have no report.
Thank you, Jamie. Next up, our mayor, Mayor Katzenbach.
Yes, so there's a couple of things I wanted to go over with you. First of all, the Public Works held another successful cleanup event from April 20th through the 23rd. The count was over 400 residents were serviced. 11 30-yard dumpsters of trash were collected, 1 30-yard dumpster of concrete and asphalt, 6 30-yard dumpsters of wood or yard debris, 1 30-yard dumpster of metal, 10 bins, the equivalent of 1 box truck load of electronics, 5 pallets of paint, 30 tires, and a dozen propane cylinders. I'd like to thank Public Works for their hard work during this event, and that all goes into the separate thing based on the cleanup grant, and it doesn't go into the trash stream the way we would normally do that. Coming up, something that I've been thinking about for a long time, kind of a Delran proud thing, that throughout the winter and the spring months, I started to look at areas that were in serious need of initiative to clean up. I'd like to put together a schedule to maybe clean up some of the areas in town that are in need of some TLC. It'd be a great opportunity for service hours. It happens all the time. Many, the senator does it with volunteers. That's what I'm talking about. No cost to the township. Public Works is always wonderful about supporting that with the bags and rakes or gloves or whatever. So I just ask everyone to stay tuned to the website as soon as I get a more definitive list of areas in need of cleanup, and we'll put that on the website and social media pages, and opportunities for volunteering, dates, times, that kind of thing. There's a lot going on, and there's a bunch of schedule juggling, but I think that would be something that would be great. It would be an afternoon or a morning in the weekend, and there's just some areas, and I'm sure I would ask council to let me know, because you see it. I won't mention the jug handles, but the jug handles. Also, there was a lot of talk and discussion, and I received a number of calls and comments and complaints about the restrooms at the Delran Community Park over the weekend. It was closed due to an emergent plumbing issue, and we understand it was an inconvenience for some of the residents for Saturday's game especially. And I'm happy to report that the bathrooms have been serviced and are presently open for use. Delran Public Works and the Sewer Department also would like to remind residents not to flush sanitary napkins or diapers in those toilets. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I'd like to congratulate the Green Team as Delran has received its Tree City USA designation. Looking forward to working with council and celebrating the placement of, I guess we'll do flags and signs throughout the town. And also commemorating this special designation, perhaps at the June public meeting, if that that works for you?
It's a significant accomplishment.
So we also, April 30th, the DEA National Drug Take Back Day. DEA is saying that, you know, it's really time to clean out our medicine cabinets and dispose of old medications. It'll be available from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can drop off medications at the police station that's right in the back here at 900 Chester Avenue. The medications that are that can be accepted are tablets, pills, patches. However, liquids and syringes cannot be accepted this time. You can go to deatakeback.com if you'd like more information about how that is working. We also, just as a personal comment, Harron Williams, who was a great part of Delran, maybe we can include him as maybe our first memorial tree on the new thing that the Green Team is doing. I think we talked about maybe doing that already in the past, and that might be a great way to get things kicked off. And that's my report. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up, we have report from our solicitor. Anything for us?
So all I'm going to say is thank you for having me. Joe and Jamie have been really, really great about onboarding me and me trying to be on the uptake quickly. So not really other than that, just thank you, and I look forward to working with all of you. And this is meeting number 2. All right, so I came back. So there you go.
That's a good start. Thank you. All right, next up, we have reports from members. Members of council. First up is Councilwoman Virginia. Right. Virginia, anything?
Yes, as Council President mentioned yesterday, Councilman Jenny and I joined members of the Green Team at Friendship Park to celebrate Arbor Day. 2 trees were planted at Friendship Park, and other trees have either already been planted or will be planted very soon in the parks around town. I think he's doing them this week. Is that what he said? I can't remember. This week, yeah, okay. In celebration of Arbor Day. And I want to thank the Green Team and keep those trees coming, especially in Ward 1.
Great, thanks, Virginia. Next up, we have Councilman Marlo Smith. Councilman, anything to report?
Yeah, just one quick thing. Just wanted to make mention that, April is National Volunteer Month. As the mayor mentioned, there's plenty of areas in town that can use a little TLC. So, get out there, use the spirit. And I know that April's almost over, but nicer weather is coming in May. So you can make sure you can get out there and help clean up the town, because it's something that's important and something we all need to do. Take pride in the town. End of report.
Thank you. Next up, we have Councilman Jay. Councilman?
Thank you, Council President. Regarding the Green Team, they're getting a lot of attention tonight. We, as everyone knows, we did qualify as a tree city, and that's something to be proud of. We have signs that need to be erected, usually coming into town and leaving town. We got 2 free signs. I know 2 other signs are possibly being donated. So we have at least 4 signs, but Green Team asked us to consider where we might want to place those.
Great, that's a good question. Do you need an answer tonight?
No. But just,
Yeah, no, that's, so what, there are 4 total?
Yeah, I think there's at least 4 right now. It's sort of like, coming from 130 across the bridge and, coming from St. Vincent. But, there are other areas in town. We may want to post that to advertise our accomplishment. And the signs, for other signs can be purchased if somebody wants to donate additional signs.
Yeah, I noticed, ever since we got it, I noticed driving to Morristown, Collingswood, you see them when you kind of cross those lines. So, I think we should, it's something to be proud of. So we
Yes,
should
it is.
definitely get those
Yes,
out.
it is.
Definitely some, things to think about, different thoroughfares.
As I mentioned earlier, the Green Team has created a plaque. It's more than a plaque. It's about 6 foot by 4 foot. It's the outline of a tree, all the branches. And the high school technology group put together their green tags that will have people's name on it if they donate to the Green Team, and the donations will go towards planting trees in our parks and in different community areas. So they would like us to also consider where in the lobby might be a good place for them. So as we look at the lobby, we probably want to think if there's anybody else who wants the use of the hobby as well.
Yeah.
As far as we value our veterans, I'd like the council to consider making parking spots available for veterans at each one of our township parking spaces, wherever they might be. We have parks, we have the municipal building, and, maybe just, if there's only one, but at least dedicate a parking spot that's convenient for one of our veterans. And that would, those two things I would, like to move on soon if we can.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. So, Gary, you think that's something we can?
Yeah.
Also,
Just
would like
requires,
to,
right, then, sorry, just some purple
right.
paint, right, and a sign, right? I think they paint them.
I think they paint the
It's just like
space
special
and there's
color,
a
right?
sign,
For a veteran.
Yeah.
a sign that goes
This
up.
is for any veteran or disabled vets?
I think any veteran, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen sometimes they paint them, but maybe that's Purple Heart recipients.
The disabled veteran ones are painted.
Oh, purple, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a great idea.
So
and I know
we can
it's-
consider whether we want to do disabled only or
Yeah.
just all veterans.
Whatever you guys think, I think
Yeah.
it's, it seems to be
Done that in my daytime area.
Good.
Yeah, Lowe's has done it also. They're
Yeah.
the only one in town I've seen do that. And we did communicate to all of our business owners when we sent out the commercial licensing renewals or whatever we did. And we did receive, I have a number of businesses that responded, they'd be interested. So
Great.
we'll be reaching out to them. Also, if we could start to post a place for veteran resources on the township website, so veterans have a place to go. I'm working with the Post right now to arrange for a gentleman, Joe, I think it's McClellan, is our resource person for the veterans in Burlington County. He's offered to come out and meet with them, like do a roundtable, so we're working on that as well. And that should do it for me for tonight. Thank you.
great, thank you.
And if you reach out to our communications director, she's got some of that information. Okay, look it right up.
All right, great. Next up is Vice President Tom Lyons. Vice President?
Thank you, Council President. Job well done by the DPW. I did stop by around 11:30. They said they were very, very busy on Saturday morning. I did take them lunch, and I told the morning guys not to eat it all for the afternoon guys. So hopefully that transpired. Congratulations to the Green Team. That's a great accomplishment, and my wife and I are looking forward to donating the money to get a tree and the little plaque and a couple lines in honor and memory of our little Bella, who passed away just about a year ago. She was almost 15, so we're looking forward to that. And also the Historical Society presentation. I think they did a really nice job. I think that's going to work well, and I think we'll be able to carve out space for the Green Team and some other things. And when you I don't know if anybody's ever been to Cherry Hill Town Hall, which is a very big building. It's a 3-story building. They've added on to it over the years. When you walk the halls, it's almost like a walk through history of Cherry Hill with quilts and paintings, and there's actually have artwork from the schools, stuff like that. So their hallways are just littered with history from Cherry Hill Township. So I think this is a good start for the Historical Society, and we'll see where it goes. And I think it's a really good thing. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. For my report, I just want to echo sentiments of my colleagues and also this conversation today at work. A friend knew and saw it on Facebook from her aunt. I just want to mourn the loss of a former Darwin resident who was tragically murdered, Alicia Stilley, I believe I'm pronouncing that. She's a couple of years older than I was in high school, but I believe I went to school with her brother. So that was on the news this afternoon. So, but otherwise, I think we're moving right along, and we'll now go to the public comment. So I'll entertain a motion to open the floor to public comment.
Motion.
And all in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We are in public.
Oh, there you go.
So
Come up here.
Not yet.
before, you can head on up, Ms. Littleton, since you're the only one here tonight, but I will read it just for the record. If you wish to speak, you'll be recognized and you've been recognized, and you can approach the podium. Just use your outdoor voice. All remarks should be addressed to council. You have 5 minutes of time. And all statements are part of the record, both written and video and audio recorded, and cannot be redacted or retracted.
Good evening, everyone.
Could you just state your name and address, please? Thanks.
Barb Littleton, have a property here in Delran, and I'd rather still not say my address. So I wanted to thank the Green Team. I'm really impressed. I really hope that goes far, and thank you guys for going out and helping them plant those trees. I really appreciate it. Wanted to talk a little bit real quick. The Delran Facebook page.
Delran Facebook.
Delran Township Municipal Government still lists Jeff Hatcher as the business administrator. Just wanted to.
Facebook page?
Yeah, on the Facebook page, under the township information.
Could happen.
Yeah, it's everywhere, and it's very difficult to keep that. So I just happened to see it, so I just wanted to let you guys know.
I will guarantee you that'll be fixed before this meeting's over.
So now we're stuck with Comcast another 10 years. Thank you guys so much. And not you guys, but because that was before most of you.
Actually, 2 years ago, I called Verizon to talk to their head of government affairs, and they are not, I should hit this, they are not investing any more in FiOS in this area, and are moving to their next generation of technology, whatever that means. So once that's developed, they'll roll that out. So the sooner they get that, the sooner we'll have some competition.
I love FiOS compared to Comcast, but I don't get that choice. I did want to ask the question, settlement agreement. What was that about? Just give me a gist.
Personnel matter.
Okay. Personnel matter?
Personnel.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering. I heard it and I was like, interesting. I don't think I have any of the comments in there. Let me just make sure. No. The mayor, last week we talked, and you talked about an ordinance that you could hire a personal secretary. Did I mishear you? Is there an ordinance?
There is a spot in the ordinances for, there are 2 secretarial or administrative assistants. Joe, help me out. There's one for mayor and one for the, confidentially.
Okay. Do you think you could tell me where if I email you so that I can look at that ordinance?
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to look at it.
Yeah.
Probably in salary ordinance would be one place to look for sure.
Yeah, send me a note.
Okay.
And it's a civil service issue.
Okay. So I also wanted to ask the question, Mayor, did you get a response from the state on, because I know you requested an investigation. Did you get a response from them?
I have not.
Have you thought about looking into it and seeing if they had a response for you?
I have requested something, it was about 6 years ago, and they just responded recently.
Okay. Sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease on that. I also wanted to ask about the video. I know the Carly Lloyd video, I know you guys had talked about putting that on the website and on Facebook, I'm thinking. You were going to put it out there on Facebook too? I haven't seen anything. I was just wondering if we had an update on that.
Yeah, so the editing is done. The audio is low because it wasn't recorded for that purpose. Again, the video that we have was never intended for that. It was from what was going to be on the screens. So the last step is to dump it into the software and increase all the volumes all the way along, and that'll be shortly.
Okay, I was just wondering because I hadn't seen anything and I wanted to follow up on that. I did want to talk a little bit about EMS. Does anyone know who oversight is for EMS?
It's a very complicated question. We have a contract with them. Someone wants to step in, but they're a separate entity that we have to provide life-saving EMS services as part of our job as township. So we either have to contract with the private entity to do that or do it ourselves with the fire department. So they are their own private entity that we work with to do that. and we enter a contract with them every couple of years, we renew it. And we have oversight in that. There was a lot of things that happened in the past with them, and through the last couple of years that I've been here, we've increased our oversight abilities, and they've been working with us, and we have conversations with them fairly frequently.
Okay, yeah, probably going to ask for some documentation because we're hearing some rumors, and just wanted to clarify some of the rumors about where people are. Do we have coverage, those types of things? Just want to put it out there. I'm pretty transparent. I don't
Yeah.
hide stuff.
Not a problem. We will give you what we have, but they're a private entity, so there's certain things that
Right,
we don't keep their books. You know what I'm
right,
saying? We
right.
don't
I
have,
get you.
We really don't have a lot. So
All righty. One last thing,
Yeah,
boom
you can wrap it up.
parties.
go ahead.
Boom parties. I don't know what we can do. I'm lucky I have a brick house, so I don't hear them very often. But of course, I see it, and I do try to help out other people when they're having issues.
The
And
mayor, I spoke to the chief about it. I know the mayor has. Just Mayor, do you have?
Yes. So we did post on social media today. So they are beyond our police department's jurisdiction. Our police have reached out to theirs. There is we would suggest that your best bet would be to call the non-emergency number. That's the 856-461-4444 and report it. When we do that, the best that we could do, as we know, Philadelphia has their own set of issues and priorities, and they have some serious problems. We're certainly aware of that, but we would ask you to do that and do it as it's happening. Don't do it the next day, it doesn't help. And posting on Facebook doesn't help. Posting on Facebook really doesn't help for anything on the residents' pages. If you report a concern or call the non-emergency number for that kind of thing, that's the best way to do that. So our police chief has reached out to the various, I'm not a police officer, captains or area leaders, whatever that would be, in hopes that they could, if they're available and not, God forbid, investigating something much worse, that they could go out and try to find that and shut them down. The problem is that they move. They close, they move, and they're off to the next spot. And there is absolutely nothing from a jurisdiction standpoint that we can do to enforce that. So the best thing that can happen is that the residents actually call in real time. It's not a bother, that's why they're there, and they can try to reach out and stop that. Okay, 461-4444, and non-emergency.
And they've met with Friendly Amendment. They previously have met, our police and neighboring police have met with the captain over there in Philadelphia about it, so they're well aware. It's just a matter of calling. It's important that you call. You're not a bother, that's why they're there. So then people here can make calls over there, right? And it's important that it is documented as well, so
Yes,
please
that's
call. The more calls, the better. The more-
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
As a council, couldn't we draft a letter sent to the mayor of Philadelphia?
Sure, absolutely.
We could,
Let's do it.
we could do that.
It won't hurt, and I always found when you go to the top, something happens.
Something else. If I could just say also, in answer to your question, if I can be so bold, but EMS has oversight from the township now. That was part of the agreement. And there's a gentleman, Chuck McSweeney, that has the service that oversees these kinds of operations. And he was engaged as part of the deal and he's still engaged in that. So, there is so much more oversight than there ever was with EMS at this moment.
Yeah, and the state too.
And the state
They're on top.
is all over it.
thank you so much.
Yep, thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. So any other comments, questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll ask for motion to close the floor.
Motion?
All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. The floor is now closed. We're not entering executive session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. See you in a couple weeks.